So now that we're starting to move into the new earth, it's like my soul's, about time. Like, this is what I've been waiting for, just having that sense of abundance. We aren't so heavily programmed as well. Like the more that we are ascending, it's like we're clearing these just these inferiority programs or victim consciousness programming. And to me, that is so exciting that we're getting to be more authentic.
Welcome to Supernormalized, the podcast where we challenge the conventional, break boundaries, and normalize the seemingly supernatural. Join me, CJ, as we explore less uncharted realms of existence and unravel the mysteries of life experience. My treasured listeners, if you have a life story or healing modality or unique knowledge that you'd love to share, reach out to me at Supernormalized, that's Supernormalized with a Z, at proton.me. Let's together embrace acceptance of the supernatural and unusual as what it really is, completely normal. Today on Supernormalized, I have Dani'el'A. She's a highly respected Akashic Record reader, psychic medium, ascension teacher, and business oracle. She's the author of the insightful book, which is spelled F***K, The Fairy Tale Ending, which is about actually finding out the truth about relationships from a deeper understanding and authenticity. She's got 25 years of experience doing her psychic and mediumship work and has assisted numerous individuals in creating profound and lasting changes by delving into their soul's history through the Akashic Records. This is a fun interview today, and I'm sure you'll enjoy the time that we had together in our chat. So on with the show. Welcome to Supernormalize, Dani'el'A Birch. Now, you actually spell your name in an unusual sort of way. Did I say it right?
You absolutely did, CJ.
Oh, good. Okay.
Perfect.
Excellent. So, Dani'el'A, you're a medium and a psychic, and you've written a book which is about basically waking people up to probably the inequities in their own relationships. What drew you to all of this? I mean, what was your life before becoming a psychic, or have you always been a psychic?
Such a great question. I started my journey when I was around 17, actually. I was always very intuitive. I was telepathic. I didn't realize that at the time, though, right? I didn't know that it wasn't normal to hear the kids in the class and what they were thinking of me. Yeah, that was totally extreme, I've got to tell you, looking back.
Yeah.
And so I kind of did my 3D jobs and worked in retail as a makeup artist, actually. And I just kept getting this knock on the door from spirit. No, you've actually got to step into this work. And I would say, no, there's too much responsibility there. However, obviously at one point I made that decision when I was 28 and just started the journey back then as a tarot reader, actually.
Okay, yeah, I love the tarot myself. I do readings of various decks. What sort of tarot readings were you doing? Were you doing like Celtic cross spreads and things like this?
All of it, yes.
All of it.
Okay. Yes, I did all of it, and then one day again I got this tap on the shoulder, and my higher self said, we're done. We're not actually going to be using any tools, and I want you to step into what we call the Akashic Records. So the Akashic Records is basically a spiritual library, and that's kind of what I started to focus on. And then hence during that timeline, I started to meet all these people from my soul group. And so for anyone who
Nice.
doesn't know, we have 144 people in our soul pod that we travel with every lifetime. And I started to investigate into my past lives. Well, what is this connection? Like, why have I met them? Why are they married? Why am I so drawn to these people? So hence that's why I wrote my book, because I had so many clients similar to me saying, I keep meeting these unavailable people, but there's such a strong connection. What is it, Dani'el'A?
Wow. Okay. Okay. So when they actually tapped you on the shoulder to open you up to the Akashic Records, in what form did that happen? I mean, do they actually just speak to you directly? I mean, how does that form? Do you just get ideas or images or imagination, sort of like dreamlike sequences that just have meaning to you, or how did that happen for you?
We've all got different psychic abilities. So mine, I've got a very strong clairaudience. So I hear things in my mind, which is my voice, right? And sometimes it takes a while to understand, well, what voice is actually higher self soul voice or what is another entity.
Yeah.
However, this voice was very direct, very loving, and very persistent. And so that's how I know that that information is actually truth, because my whole body was getting a yes. It didn't feel constricted. And that's how you know when that voice is a pure voice, because if you feel fear or constriction, that usually means that it's a voice that's not of the light. Hope
Yeah.
that
Right.
helps.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. I meditate fairly regularly, and one of the things that happens when I'm actually in a deep meditation, sometimes spirits will just come and talk to me, and I hear them clearly as a voice. And I had the one that I never forgot was this English lady popped in, and she says, "We're the people from the other side of the room." And I just laughed and went, "Oh, I know who you are. You're over there." But she was making herself known. You
Exactly.
know what I mean? I thought that's cool.
That is so cool. I'm so glad you had that experience.
Yeah, yeah. So you're moving along in life, and you've got the Akashic Records coming to you in information and stuff. So when you're actually sitting with people and you're doing work with them, how do the Akashic Records actually represent themselves so that you can pass on information?
I do things quite differently. So the way that I do my sessions is I'm in a trance channeled state for roughly 2 to 3 hours. I then write down everything that shows up for that client. And during that session, there could be 2 or 3 different past life selves coming through. And
Mhm.
I specialize in getting to the core root problem. So I go into that Akashic file where that specific thing started. So if you've got, let's just say, a health problem, I will go back to the timeline and say, when did this get created? And then we can kind of shift it along. And then I've had people fall pregnant, as an example, once they've had their Akashic records read.
Yeah, right. Okay, so you actually look back through the timeline, see like a little beacon, and go in there and have a look and go, oh, okay, we can move that on or something.
Yeah, we talk to the trauma of what happened in that
Mm,
reality, because a lot of the time we're bringing it through on a parallel. So everything that's happening in this reality is kind of still running. Because
mm.
sometimes people think past lives are behind us and they don't think that they need to investigate in their past lives. But a lot of the time, your issues are your past life selves.
Yes, right, right. Yeah, well, I mean, the experience of time that we have is basically from the colonialized mind that it's we have past, present, and future. But for spirits, that's just trivia. That's nothing. And we're they're in 5D reality. They don't have any bearing upon time. They're like, oh, I can see all of it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
yeah. All right, so you're going along in life, you've got access to the Akashic Records, and you start working with people. Um, when you work with people, is that something you do in person, or how does that work?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, it's all written down in advance. So most sessions are Zoom. However, if the lucky person gets to be in person with me, then yes, we go through the session in person, and
Mm.
we also shift in their consciousness, maybe just helping integrate what's sort of showing up as well. So both, don't definitely both, CJ.
Excellent, excellent. So, what are the main topics that you work on with people? I mean, what's something that's sort of very common that is prevalent for a lot of people that you see?
At the moment, so I specialize in finding your life purpose, activating the soul gifts that you have been mastering over many lifetimes. So these clients may have imposter syndrome. They may be just coming out of corporate and having this real sense that there's something way bigger than what I've been doing. So that's a lot of my clients at the moment, where they just want to shine. They just want to really become the highest expression of themselves. So that's kind of my specialty. The other one is, as mentioned, so soulmates, twin flames, people understanding these high dimensional relationships because they're here to shift the consciousness of the planet. So I see a lot of those clients as well, mainly.
Yeah, right. So, I understand that you actually help people create deep, permanent change. Is that a part of the work with the timeline when you actually go back and then find those knots and undo those knots?
That is such a beautiful way of expressing that, CJ. Yes, absolutely. So a lot of the people are coming to me, and I'm kind of like the last piece of the jigsaw puzzle. Like, they've had all these things happen in their life, and then they're like, what's this actually about? And once they have that integration, that awareness, that clarity, then it's like it just shifts, and then they're their life is just completely transformed. It's
Mm,
absolutely amazing to watch. Like, people are just crying because I'm speaking to their soul.
yeah.
That's where it's different than being, say, a tarot reader. Nothing
Mm,
wrong with us doing tarot. But when you're connecting to the core of the soul, and the soul's able to say, well, this is what's the hold up. This is why I haven't been able to find the right relationship. This is why I have issues with money. And they have that clarity. It's like, whoa, I can't even explain the change that comes over them.
excellent. Okay. So, is this something that actually happens continuously for you, or is it something that you have to tune into to be able to focus?
Do you mean with the client or my own
Well,
life, or?
with your own abilities. I mean, like, do you ever happen to be like, say, at a shopping center or whatever, and you're walking past people and you're like, oh, and you get intuitions about something that they need to know, and how does that feel? Or does that happen to you?
Oh, look, absolutely. I'll never forget one time I was at this park, and this lady just had this such withdrawn, sad look on her face. And I knew what was going on. And so I went up to her and just said, look, blah, 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 asked how she was. And she just ran off. Like, she was so confronted and challenged with truth, and that I read her mind. So I kind of learned from that moment to be discerning and always ask permission, because absolutely, like, I can be, yeah, in a pub, you know having a few drinks, and the past self in me would have been like, mate, you're not going to find the right girl, whatever advice I'd give them, and they just look horrified.
Yeah.
So yes, I've learned to just switch it off unless I'm actually in session now, or it gets too much.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And some people aren't ready for the information, so yeah, I can understand that. Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. So, okay, so you've got 25 years experience of doing this now, and it actually helped you to form a book to help people. Do you want to tell us about your book? And you've got, it's actually, the title is F asterisk K. We can all guess what that means. The Fairy Tale Ending. Why did you name it that?
At the time, I feel I was so sick of love being portrayed as roses and lollipops, and this is the best thing to ever happen to you. And from my perspective at that time, it was the dark side of love. Like, I was
Uh,
just experiencing a lot of trauma. Um, yeah, just constantly being rejected and lots of betrayal. And so for me, it was wanting people to understand the shadow side of relationships. Like I said, affairs, like, I talk a lot about affairs in the book, why we have affairs. And just to get people to understand that part of themselves, because we want to believe that we're love and light. And For me, it was like, it was going to be called The Dark Side of Love. And I called it that just to kind of be punchy, just so people were like, oh, well, that's how I feel. I wanted the fairy tale as a child. I wanted to have this perfect relationship. However, the truth isn't that is how it always turns out to be.
Right, right. And so what do people learn by reading the book?
I would love to believe they are going on a journey to discover themselves. It can be very triggering. As you said at the start, it's very raw, it's very authentic. It's for the person that is ready to really address the illusionary part of themselves, because
Yeah.
sometimes we're in these relationships and we don't want to believe that the other person isn't happy. Like, as an example, today I had a client reach out and her husband has been having an affair. I thought they had the perfect relationship on social media, right? And it's kind of just having this understanding that there is emotional affairs. It doesn't always have to be sexual. So the book is really kind of lovingly saying, are you giving your power away to your partner? Do you actually really know them? Because in this day and age, as you said before, we're stepping into 5-dimensional energy, and we're not wanting, our soul isn't wanting us to stay the same version. And so if we're turning a blind eye to what's actually going on in our relationship, then people can be very shook up if they don't see, that their partner hasn't been happy.
Mm-hmm. So the 5D ascension sort of reality actually is a bit of a shakedown of ineffectual frequencies.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And I understand that when we've been in this, this 3D earth, the Piscean age, we haven't had the toolkit. Like, we've wanted to have that same path as our grandparents, like this is how our relationship should be looking. However, people want to explore so many different things these days, don't they, with their sexuality? So I just wanted to bring that to the table. Like, sometimes we want something else and people may deem that as unacceptable, or like, again, I'm not condoning affairs. I'm not condoning that, we should be in poly relationships. And I definitely have never been, by the way. I'm just kind of bringing it to people's attention that, sometimes you think you know your partner, but sometimes they're doing stuff behind your back.
Yeah, I think that's like a sense of dissatisfaction that some people would sense, and then their self-medication is not always healthy when it comes to the
Totally.
relationship itself, and what their other partner may need too. And some partners need fidelity, and I can understand that. So yeah.
Yes, totally. And as I said, I've just left a 5.5-year relationship, and I loved just having just only him. And, I've been with married men, and again, I'm not condoning my old self. However, this is what happens when we meet a soulmate sometimes. We want change, and we want to learn about ourselves. So yeah, that's pretty much what the book is about.
Yeah. Would you ever say that some of those, what would you say, like fleeting attractions that feel very strong, do you think they could also be just a distraction?
Oh, totally. Yeah, not every person that we are meeting is a soulmate. Absolutely. Sometimes it's absolutely because we're feeling lonely, we're feeling bored. Like, there's many reasons, obviously, that we turn to another person. And I always encourage my clients to go within now. Like, what are you trying to seek outside of yourself? Like, that's the work that I prefer to do. Not kind of go off and be with, have an affair.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
Just making that clear to your audience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's not the solution.
No, not at
Yeah.
all.
So what actually is a soulmate to you then?
So a soulmate to me, I love this question because I just did a live on it the other day on Instagram, actually. A soulmate to me is the person I'd love your audience to be with. So they are your best friend a lot of the time. They're your cheerleader. you have so much in common. You look the same a lot of the time. Like you can really see the characteristics with the people from your soul family. They are there to give you support. So when we're with what I call karmic soulmates, where we've got a lot of ancient karma with them that we carry through, the soulmates don't want to hurt you. You know, they don't judge you and belittle you like a karmic can actually do. So to me, the soulmate is the one that, just brings you the most kind of balance and peace. Obviously, they're there for your soul's growth. They will still mirror you. They will still show you what's unhealed. However, it's a beautiful, gentle, nurturing, unconditional, loving relationship in my eyes.
Well, I'm lucky I've got my soulmate already. So.
Oh, I'm so
She's
happy
my beautiful wife.
I love that.
Yeah.
And
So, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was watching Sylvester Stallone and his wife on TikTok the other day. They've been married, I think, 28 years.
Yeah.
And she walked out and he's just said, I'm more in love with her than I've ever been. And I was just like, there you go. That's a true soulmate right there. You're still more in love after that amount of time.
It just grows.
Yes, exactly. So that's beautiful. You've met one of your soulmates. I love that.
Yeah. So, okay, so some of these people that we run into that we think might be soulmates can also be past life connections. So what do you do with that when you meet somebody that's a past life connection that you feel quite drawn to, but obviously you probably shouldn't be pursuing?
Well, like sometimes I just would love to say this as well. Like sometimes our soulmates are our best friend. They can be a parent. They can even be your boss, right? And so it doesn't necessarily, when we say a sexual connection with soulmates, like as you said, you can feel like a resonance, a recognition in your heart. You're like, I just know this person, and I know each other before. Like there's just this familiarity, this comfortability, this just draw to just want to connect with them. And it's really just being open to see what the connection is, like what their gift is that they're giving you. Because sometimes a soulmate can be someone you meet on a park bench for 5 minutes and they're passing on a message for you. So does that make sense? It doesn't necessarily, we don't have to label it and say, oh, just because this person is, let's just say, another woman, that it has to be, a certain connection. It's more just staying open to what they're showing you, I think is the best way to say it.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone has different parts of the guiding information that you need in your life to be able to grow and ascend.
Totally. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So, okay, so we're moving along in life, and we can come and see you if we need to for Akashic Record readings. And what other work do you do with people?
Oh, such a beautiful question. I love to do mentoring as well. So I do a lot of intuitive mentoring. I'm getting into, and I have done this in the past, into the teaching side of things to help you with your intuitive abilities. So just to help you open them up and have more mastery over them. I love to help businesses as well. So if there's a business that wants to kind of rebrand themselves, create new visions, I'm very visionary, right? So I'm somebody that can see into a future timeline as to, what that decision would be. So I have, a lot of people kind of asking me those sort of questions as well, which is really cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
So basically you actually help people with sort of like future predictions of where they possibly can go according to where they are in their own timeline right then.
Yeah, so if you wanted to make a big investment on crypto as an example, and with your permission, so I always do this with your permission, I ask for your highest available self's permission, and then I can go in and ask that question, would that work? Or Is that the best decision for you at this time? Anything like that, right? So if anyone has those sort of questions for me, absolutely, that's what I can answer. And it's coming from you. So it's never, a spirit guide or anyone else. This information is coming directly from a part of you that you may not be able to access.
Okay. Very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, are you getting any pings at all while we're talking, like anything that I should know?
Oh, well, maybe after the call I can tune in, but I'm not really tuning in at the moment, to be honest. But yeah, if there's any questions you wanted to know, for sure.
No, I just thought if you might have had something that just popped in and then you thought, oh, maybe I should say that.
Maybe later.
Okay. So, what else do you do with people in their relationships? I mean, people that are in, steady relationships, but then wanting to actually rediscover the flame within themselves and within each other.
I love to see couples, actually, CJ. It's one of my favorite things that I do, where I have like both of you in the session, and then I can ask both of your higher selves the direction of your relationship, as in, what do we need to improve on the relationship? If you are here for soul mission work, as an example, like if you and your partner, we're just getting these ideas, I feel like we're meant to do something together, CJ, then I can kind of speak to both of you and say, well, this is what your higher selves are saying you'd like to work towards, future project or something like that. And that, as I said, is really important to me, because I'm here for the twin flames and soulmates to really understand why you are together. Even if you've been together 10 years, absolutely fine.
Okay, I'm just trying to think what else I can ask you around this, because I think we've actually burned through a lot of stuff really, really quickly because you're really good at summarizing all the work that you do. So is there any questions that you think I should be asking, or that you'd like to talk about?
Well, if your audience is open, I'd love to maybe discuss the fact that I'm a walk-in. Have you heard of a walk-in before, CJ?
I've heard of walk-ins before. I've actually had an interview with a lovely lady called Sheila Seppi in the States, and she's a walk-in as well. That was leading a completely normal life, and then somebody walked in. She's like, "Oh, okay, who's this?" Changed her completely. Amazing, great story too. So,
yeah, and that might be something beautiful to express, because before I was a walk-in, I was doing the tarot, but I'm a completely different soul now with a completely different mission. So that's why I started to do the Akashic Records, because this part of my soul was like a master at it. I've been mastering the Akashic Records for a good, past Atlantis, I think. So yeah, it was weird. Like, it wasn't something that I even knew about before this soul incarnated. So yeah, my whole life just completely turned around as well. It was really quite bizarre. Okay. Yeah, like I lost I lost a good 90% of my friends. I broke up the relationship with my parents. There was just such deep change when this soul actually came into my body, which was around 12 years ago.
Okay. And what was that experience like for you? Was it something that just suddenly happened, or was it gradual?
All I can remember is lying on the floor. Like, this is the last memory that I have, lying on the floor and just saying, I need a walk in. I need a walk in. I don't want to be here anymore. This old soul was in a lot of trauma. And it was roughly 3 months after that, I remember having this breakdown, just this nervous breakdown. And I woke up and I had Bell's palsy. And I was like, what is going on with me? And obviously I was out of body. I was disorientated. It took me 3 months before that sort of started to recover. And then I started to investigate, and I'm like, I don't feel the same person. Like, what's actually going on? And then I looked up walk-ins and all of the, I guess, the side effects, or, what does it feel like to be a walk-in? And I had all of that information, and that's where my whole journey completely changed. It was pretty scary stuff. Like, a lot of people that are a walk-in, they might have a car accident, be in a coma, and that's when the transfer happened. But with me, it was literally, it was a gradual thing. But the moment that that sort of happened, it was very scary. I had no idea what was going on.
Did it feel like somebody else was with you, or did you feel like that suddenly you were really looking out of your eyes? How did that feel?
Um, it felt like an alien had been in my body, and found out, like I said, maybe 3 to 6 months after that. No, actually, that's not quite true. Let's just say it was 2 years ago. I realized that my last incarnation, I hadn't been on the earth since my last incarnation when I was Catherine of Aragon, which was Henry VIII's first wife. So I was actually the Queen of England.
Right.
Yes, and that was like, oh my goodness, like this made so much sense to me because I struggle with the English language, like pronouncing a lot of words. There was just this sense of disorientation. Like I lost my driver's license as soon as I was a walk-in. It was like I had no idea how to drive a car. I still have not driven a car since.
Wow.
Yes, and then the more I realized I was Catherine, and I actually went to visit my grave in Peterborough in England, and that was just such a profound moment. Like sometimes you think this isn't true, like this couldn't have been me. Well, the moment I walked into that church, I just burst into tears. Absolutely
The
knew that
recognition.
that was me.
Yeah,
Yes, so
the frequency in your body was like, this is home. Weird. And
yes.
yeah, yeah, and you're like, this is it. It's like a connection and and an integration at the same time, and also a closure point.
Yes, she has made my life a little bit difficult at times. And again, because I specialize in past lives, she's kind of wanted to hold me back. She hasn't wanted to be on show. She probably hates the fact I've just told you that. Like I'm still very connected to her.
She
She's
might tell you off later.
there'll be no doubt there. Yeah,
Excellent.
so that was huge, and that's why I like to kind of help people. Again, it's not about the grandiosity. Oh, well, this is who you've been in a past life. I mean, I've met kings, I've worked with people where you've been, important sort of icons in society, and there's been a lot of shame, and there's a lot of just insecurities that come up when you're not that person today. Like sometimes I even go, how can I just be Dani'el'A and no one knows me? It just feels bizarre at times.
Well, maybe you're hiding out in Daniela for a while, so
Yeah, yeah, just having a crazy life. That's it.
yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes we're on the other side. We've had a few rough lifetimes in a row. And we pick up the travel brochure and go, "Oh, okay, so this life that looks good," and then you're born.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was going to be crazy. I'll tell you what, but it hasn't been. I
Yeah,
don't know many psychics or healers that honestly can say they've had a crazy life. Like there's always been some trauma or something that's happened to put them in the role that they are.
yeah,
For
yeah,
sure. Yeah, I'm sure
yeah,
you've seen that too.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. I've been through my own journey as well. Yeah, yeah. So you see us as a collective moving towards ascension, and what does that mean for you?
Oh, for me, it just feels like freedom.
Freedom.
Like
Nice.
honestly, when I tune into these higher frequencies, and to be honest, that's what I'm more used to. Like as I said, I don't like incarnating on Earth just because it's been so heavy and dense energetically for me. So now that we're starting to move into the new Earth, it's like my soul's, oh, about time. Like this is what I've been waiting for. Just having that sense of abundance. We aren't so heavily programmed as well.
Mm,
Like the more that we are ascending, it's like we're clearing these just these inferiority programs or victim consciousness programming. And to me, that is so exciting that we're getting to be more authentic.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, makes
yeah,
me excited.
yeah. Are you seeing any reflection of that in reality around you? I mean, are you getting like, I mean, I know when things are changing because I can say run into somebody on the street and they tell me something that I've been talking about for the last 20 years. So, and it's interesting when you get it reflected back to you, like, that's what we are. Good.
Oh, I guess I see both. Most of my friends are like us, so awakened souls, conscious,
Yeah.
understanding their purpose, which makes it easier. However, again, it could be family, it could be friendships that I've had, and I just kind of go, wow, like you still can't see what's actually going on in the world, and you still haven't awakened or changed. And to me, that, there's a bit of sadness there, but we've all chosen our own path, haven't we?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
They all have our positions that we chose to inhabit in life. So yeah, it's all okay. Everyone has their place. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm accepting of where they're at. Like there's still people wearing masks, and I just go, okay, that's fine, no
Yeah.
problem. You
That's
do
it.
you.
Yeah, you can't really do much about it. I mean, people are suffering trauma from all of that, and those people, the ones that are still wearing the mask, they're suffering the most trauma.
Yeah,
You
I
know what I mean?
know.
It's like
Yeah,
they went through a lot, and they're still going through it in their mind.
I love that, CJ, and I agree. It's having that compassion for where these people are at, and it's not easy being on the earth at the moment, is it? Especially if you're sensitive and empath. It's
Mm.
really, really challenging times. So totally understand. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, we are getting to a point where a lot of that will change, but we'll have to go through a bit of a rough patch, I think, because of the way ascension seems to work. It's like being born, so we're going down the birth canal. We'll see what happens.
Oh yes. And don't you love the death of the ego too? It's so fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Interesting to watch it. So, what predictions do you have for the future of all of us on Earth? What's happening? What do you think?
Like you said before, I feel like there still needs to be a lot of turbulence. There needs to be a shake up in the collective to um, help them understand what's really been happening behind the scenes. That is so important for us all to hold the space of love and compassion as we all go through that transition. It's to me like the fall of Atlantis or the fall of Rome. We've gone through this before, right? And so it doesn't have to be scary for me. There is just so much to look forward to. As I said, to me, the financial system's changing. We're going to be, our currency is going to be backed by gold. We never have to worry about money again. Everything to me will be exposed for what it is. Okay, so free electricity, as an example, I get so excited about that. And so the more that we can kind of shift our consciousness into this change is positive. We're not being punished. This is exactly why we incarnated at this time for this moment. Then, yeah, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of responsibility that us light workers have to help rebuild the new earth. Yet it is just going to be, in my opinion, just beautiful.
Excellent, excellent. What sort of timeline do you think there is on that new Earth? I mean, where do you think, I mean, say, okay, so 2024 is where we are right now. What sort of year do you think it'll be before we can say, oh, we're here, this is it?
Right now,
Oh,
the new
okay.
earth, is here right now, and that's why we're having so many solar flares. That's why the timelines are shifting so rapidly, because to me it feels as though the collective are actually wanting this now. Like they're not interested in staying in these old, the matrix and the control. And so collectively it just feels like yeah, it's happening at a rapid pace.
Mm,
So it's not something we kind of need to see as a future. Oh, the new earth is going to be in a future timeline. The Aquarian age is here right this minute.
I think it's a matter of just realization for all of us then, isn't it?
Yes, yes. Like I said, not getting caught up in the 3D collapsing. To me, I mean, this is just my perspective. I kind of look at what's happening as 2 years ago. Like everything that we're kind of seeing unfold has already happened, right? There's already been these arrests, there's already been these things that have happened. And yeah, if we just observe it through the lens of compassion, I feel like we can get through this, because obviously they want to lower our consciousness, they want to keep us in fear. So the more that we can stay in our hearts, yeah, I feel like it can be more rapid than what we realize, for sure.
Excellent, excellent. That's a very good message. Sorry, I'm just writing down the number for that so I can use that at the start. That's
Oh, thank
because you know
you,
when I
CJ.
yeah I like a little quote at the start that's inspirational. So that's nice.
I really would love us to see it like that, because sometimes our perception is, oh my goodness, this planet is about to implode, and obviously that's what these energies want us to believe. They want us to believe that, World War III is coming. It's just a movie. We're just watching a movie here that's playing out when everything's already starting to shift already. Okay, so I really love people to see it like that.
Well, the controllers that are image makers, they keep us captive, I think, through making all of these stories that they want us to subscribe to. And when people subscribe to those stories, they actually help manufacture that reality by watching those stories and telling those stories to each other. So if you get caught in that fear game of continuously repeating those stories, then you're actually going to create that story, because we're all a part of the magic of life anyway. So what else could you manifest is the bottom line. And I think the key to that is to think better stories. What is the beautiful world that our hearts actually really desire?
I love that. And I've heard other channels say the same thing as me, that we get to choose what reality we sit in consciously every day. So
Yeah.
we can choose to sit in that fear-based reality, which looks really scary, or yes, we can choose to sit in a completely different timeline and reality where
Mm,
our life can be abundant.
exactly.
Absolutely. We
Exactly.
have that free will.
We do have that free will. I mean, one of the things I used to do, I used to visit this my spirit team, and in doing so, whenever I went there, I'd have a chat with them, and I got to a certain point with them, and I said, "Look, I'm really worried about the world and where it's going, and how people are with each other, and all of these problems with the way the world's been polluted and everything." And they just said, "Slow down, slow down, slow down." So I said, "What?" And they said, "Look, we manufacture all of this according to your needs. And also a part of what your needs is all of this so you wake up."
Absolutely love that.
Yeah.
That is totally true.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I got
Yeah.
to. It was like, well, that has big resonance for it. It actually made me relax, because there was a bit of anxiety around all of that for myself. And as soon as I heard that, it allowed me to let go and go, life is life. Just enjoy it.
Exactly. And I feel like sometimes, especially again, the light workers and the healers, we feel such a responsibility for humanity, for where they're at, that sometimes we do lose that joy and fun.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
sometimes I have to remind myself, Dani'el'A, you're a human being as well. You're not just this spirit that's come to earth to help the collective ascend. Like, have a bit of joy.
Yeah. Have a life. Be a human. That's what we're here for.
I know, but sometimes I just go, I can't do that.
Yeah,
Way too serious.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes we need to actually just take a chill pill, get off the Facebook, get off all of the social media. Don't look at it for a day or so. Realize that life isn't that bad.
Oh, that is such a beautiful message for people, CJ. Yeah,
Mm.
like I find if I'm on TikTok for more than 15 minutes,
Mm.
my whole energy field starts to just low, like
Yeah,
just goes dense, and I'm like, get off the phone. Like, you don't need to see this material. Absolutely. The food we ingest, like everything, we have free will to decide that can lower our frequency or not. So
yeah, yeah. That's that
totally.
It's that two wolves story. Which one do you want to feed?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's where we can take radical responsibility for our own bodies with, what we're watching, what conversations we're listening to, and definitely what we're eating.
Absolutely. Do you have any messages you'd like to pass on to the audience that they may not have heard as yet through the podcast that you think they need to hear at this time in history?
Oh, how deep can I go with this question?
Go as deep as you like.
All right. I'm just going to say it how it is. This country has been ruled by these very dark beings who aren't here for your highest good. And it's so important that we take our power back, our sovereignty, our authority, and start to really go within and listen to what feels right for you. Because we've been so heavily programmed to listen to things outside of us that we've believed was truth, that is now clearly being shown is lies and corruption. And this is about you taking that ownership that, okay, well, maybe that wasn't true. And this is how the world would be a better place.
Absolutely. That's definitely a very strong truth in that. Thank you so much, Danielle.
Oh, pleasure. Pleasure,
Yeah,
CJ.
yeah. So I was going to ask you, how can people find you?
Yes,
I mean,
until
your
my
website's
website's up.
down, but
I
but it will
know.
be up by the time this is up. I know that. So
Yeah, so I've got a happy to send the details from my Facebook, Instagram, my email, my TikTok, whatever you like.
okay,
I'm on all social media platforms, so email is probably the best.
okay. So I'll grab those off you at the end of the show, and I'll put them on the show notes so people can find you and get in contact with you.
Oh, that's really beautiful, CJ. And I'm so honored and blessed to be on your show today. And hopefully your listeners got something out of it.
They always do. They always do. I've got a friend who listens to my show, and sometimes he's listening to one, and he said, for example, one time he goes, "What am I listening to this for?" And he got to the end of it, he goes, "Oh, now I get it." Because
Exactly.
it might not be what you think it's about. You know what I mean? You come away from it going, "Oh," and something clicks that you didn't expect to click.
Yes, well, that's why you're doing this. This is one of your highest callings, and I love the work that you're doing.
Thank you very much, and appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on the show.
Okay,
All right.
thanks, CJ.
You're welcome. I'll say goodbye to listeners. Well, that was a fun chat with Dani'el'A. I appreciate the time that she's spent talking to me and the listeners, you guys, today. Yeah, I like her insights into relationship and a deeper sort of connection. And I think that, yeah, she's touching on some subjects there which are very interesting, and I'm sure you've enjoyed it as much as I have. So, if you've enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and if you're not, just give it to a friend. Send this podcast, flick it now, do a share to a friend. That'd be really cool. And maybe share on your social media like Facebook or something. That'd be cool too. Or even on Instagram or Twitter. I'm on there too. And if you've enjoyed the show, please come back and listen to the next episode of Supernal. Thank you so much for listening, and have a really good morning, evening, night, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Bye.